You know, my husband loves NASCAR racing. So does Pastor Greg. And in the sport of NASCAR racing, most of the publicity centers really around the driver. Isn't that the truth? But it takes a total team effort just to make it to the finish line, let alone to win the race. For example, can you imagine if one of the guys in the pit shop, if he didn't do his job correctly? What if the driver fired up his car only to have the engine blow up? All of the driver's courage, all of his experience, all of his training will be wasted, and his skill would be wasted. Imagine if one of the guys in the pit crew didn't fully tighten the nuts on the wheel during a pit stop. The car might roar off the pit road onto the track and then only the wheel to fall off. Oh my word, what a disaster. So you see how it's imperative for us to stay connected as a team, to work as a body, connected to one another, and then we're going to enjoy victories together. Even though God is a very personal God, He connects us with one another, with each other, which ultimately brings about the fulfillment of God's purposes and plans for our lives. I want us to use our imaginations. Just imagine that the carpenter's tools, which are just behind me, right here on the kitchen counter, they were holding a conference. Here's Brother Hammer. And Brother Hammer, he presided, and several suggested that he actually leave the meeting because Brother Hammer was too noisy. Brother Hammer replied, "If I have to leave the shop, then Brother Screwdriver, Mr. Screwdriver, he's going to have to leave also, because you have to turn him around again and again and again to get him to accomplish anything." Well, Brother Screwdriver, he spoke up and he said, "If you wish, I will leave. But Brother Plain must leave too. All his work is on the surface. His efforts have no depth." To this, Brother Plain responded, "Then Brother Rule will have to withdraw, for he is always measuring folks as though he was the only one who's right. That's why we call him Brother Righteous Rule, because he's the only one who thinks he's right." Well, then Brother Rule, he got up and he complained. He complained against Brother Sandpaper, who's right here on my kitchen table. He complained about Brother Sandpaper. And he said, "You ought to leave too, because you're so rough and you're always rubbing people the wrong way." Well, during all this, middle of this confusion and discussion, in walked the carpenter of Nazareth, and he had arrived to start his day's work. He put on his apron, he went to the bench, and he wanted to create a wooden pulpit from which he could proclaim and preach the gospel. So he employed the hammer, the screwdriver, the plane, the rule, Brother Sandpaper, and all the other tools. And after all his work was done, the pulpit was finished. Brother Saul arose and remarked, "Brethren, I observe that all of us are workers together with the Lord." Family, when we place our lives in God's hands, He uses us all to help the body of Christ and ultimately win souls for the kingdom. We're working together as one. I'm not sure if any of you have heard of Pastor Wayne Cordero, but he is one of the 5 fastest growing churches in the USA. And he says, and I'm reading from what he said, "I've searched for the common denominators in those churches that for decades have enjoyed the hand of God on their ministries. One quality in particular showed up repeatedly: the ownership that the people of the church took in the ministry. They didn't wait for a professional or someone more qualified than they. Everybody knew that they had a part to play, and they participated gladly. They didn't want the hand of God to leave them. And I'm convinced, he says, that the influence of the church, that the influence the church has on its community will not be determined by the personality of the pastor, nor the size of the building, or how long the ministry has worked in the community, but it will be determined instead by the percentage of involvement in the ministry of each member. Now, this makes the transition from attendance to ownership, from being a consumer to being a contributor. And I believe that is exactly what's happening at Christian Family Church International. We are becoming contributors to this mission, to this vision of this house. As the hand of the Lord was supernaturally on Ezekiel, I believe that the hand of the Lord is on us today. The hand of the Lord is on you. As the wind of the Spirit moved then, the wind of the Spirit is moving today on us with signs, wonders, and miracles. As the men and women, they stood together, connected as a great army. We too are becoming that great conquering army, a formidable force. As the Lord had a plan for the future for them, family, the Lord has a plan and a future for each and every one of us and us together. And we're going to march forward in great power and love. And together we will push back the forces of darkness that have come against our families, that have come against our finances, that have come against our backslidden children and relatives. And together we will reclaim our cities and our nations. Why? For the cause of Christ, because we are part of the end-time army that will see a multitude of souls swept into the kingdom. We are the wise virgins. Yes, we are. We're going to be ready for Christ's return. And the question I want to ask as I end this message is, how many will say, Pastor Bev, you can count on me. I'm all in. I will serve the Lord with all my heart. I'm a part of the army here at Christian Family Church. Well, if that's you, I can say that we want you, we need you, and we love you, and we are so glad that you're part of the army of God. We love you, family.
Thank you for watching Dr. Bev's YouTube channel. We will continue to offer dynamic and uplifting highlights from Dr. Bev's messages. Please take the time to like and share the videos. And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Keep watching the Dr. Beverly Wolmarans YouTube channel.